Guys, welcome to another week of Connect with Jonathan Mark. Now, before we get into anything, I want you guys to go over to my Instagram at Jonathan Mark Medium. And if you want to be entered in a listener reading, all you have to do is just DM me. Now, today, I have an amazing guest. She's a celebrity makeup artist and glammed up probably one of your favorite celebrities. Let's welcome Jamie Greenberg. So, Jamie, how are you? I think the last time we spoke was before COVID. It had to have been before COVID.
Yeah, it was before COVID.
Right?
It definitely. Right before COVID, like very close to when COVID started.
It had to have been, because I was like looking back and I was like, this must have been like 4 years ago. Like at least 4.5 years ago. I was like completely shocked. And to give a little shout out to my sister-in-law, she's the one who facilitated the first time we met and even now.
Yeah.
And she has been like super helpful. But I was like super excited to have you come back on because, you know, when we first did this, just so people like, I guess, can kind of know, I was so new to podcasting, even being a guest. So I was so scared to go on like anyone's podcast because I didn't know really what it was. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea what a podcast really was. I thought it was like a virtual show. I was like, what is going on here? Like, I had no idea. It was so crazy.
And now look, you have your own podcast. It's amazing. You're helping people.
I'm trying. And I don't even know when we spoke if we really got into it, but of like my help in true crime has like, you know, kind of skyrocketed and like I guess me speaking about it more, because at that time I wasn't really talking about it just because I didn't know how people felt about just like true crime in general. Like I really had no idea back in like 2019, 2020 or whatever. Like I had no clue that people would really like true crime, because like what I was dealing with was like, and I still am, is just really intensive stuff. Like it was, and I just didn't know if people wanted that like heaviness like brought onto them, because it's not like a typical reading. Like I try to explain to people, like the readings are very different when I do like a crime case, when I'm helping law enforcement, versus just doing someone in general. And I never thought about talking about it, like ever, because like I said, it was just so freaking heavy.
Well, I feel like when you are dealing with the mediums and the psychics that do true crime, you know it's legit, because you're helping you're helping save people. And so it's like, you can't make that up. You know what I mean?
No. And like what I always tell people too, or just people know, I guess, when like there's FBI agents that speak on my behalf, like the DAs and stuff. So when I have those people like speaking on my behalf, it legitimizes a lot of the things that I do for people that don't know me in like general, just don't know mediums in general. When they hear that from them, they're like Jonathan Mark, or, you know, this medium or whoever. It legitimizes like what, not just myself, but like what you're saying, other mediums do too. But anyway, enough about me. I always wanted to ask you, because, you know, last time I was on your show, but how did you get started with like the celebrity clients? People always ask me about that. So I always wanted to ask like you that too.
Well, it's funny. It's kind of like, you know, same way with you. It's like, I didn't even realize that was really a genre to get into, but
right.
The path that led me in the makeup career, I started literally from a store where I worked in retail, and then evolved to doing like reality shows and then TV shows. And then I found this artist, Jillian Dempsey. Her husband is Patrick Dempsey. And I went to her office and I saw all these pictures of celebrities, and I was like, oh my God, like I could do celebrity makeup. That I never thought of it. I'm like, how fun is that? You know? And that's how it came about. So I assisted a bunch of big artists, and then eventually that the agency that represented them represented me as a smaller artist. And then they were like, we want to sign you on for real. Like you can do it. And then I've been with them for like over 13 years.
Wow. The same agency?
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah. I'm like so loyal to it, Paul, you know?
Well, that's kind of how I am too. I was loyal to like an agency, and I kind of, you know, let them kind of put me in certain places, do certain things. And eventually I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like this is, I was like letting them do it for like 5 years more. And then eventually I was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to just stick with my manager because he's been believing in me and like really helping me in every single way. And, you know, what I deal with, which is what I want to ask you too. So when I do readings for like high level celebrities and, you know, whatever, they always are very particular with how I do the readings, when I do it, who I speak about it to, and just like everything. I'm wondering, is that the same with you? Like, do you have to deal with and like kind of go through hoops like I have to go through? I'm sure it's like similar but different.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, many times when I first meet a client, I'm a total stranger going into their sanctuary, their home, and then touching them. Like, who does that? You let a stranger touch you.
Right.
That's a very weird, it's like you're a doctor.
Right.
You know, it's like a very weird situation. And then you develop a relationship with them. If you click, you develop a relationship with them. And I think one of the big, you know, parts of my job that makes a big difference if you have longevity in this career is that you are quiet. You don't tell people. Well, no, not with the client.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're like, you just be quiet. You don't say anything.
Don't say anything. Don't move.
You let them do whatever. Yeah. No, I think not gossiping and talking about your relationship is key to having I've had clients for a decade. You know, I don't talk about anybody's private stuff, and it's probably similar to you. They don't want that out there as you know, publicized as celebrities have become, because now we can see their whole life on social media. A lot of them are still really private.
Which is funny you say that, because I want to say, like, a lot of the people that I do readings for that are like, you know, it's interesting because when you go to like a certain level, which I'm pretty sure the people that you do makeup for and stuff, like, they are so particular of like when I come, who comes with me. It's like, obviously, like, some people want NDAs, some people like probably don't care, but they're just very particular about, I think, the entire process. And there's some people that I've never mentioned and doing readings for, and I've been, you know, going back and forth to LA for like 6 years now, that no one knows about, just because I'm trying to protect like the relationship that I have with them. And also, you know, as much as like a reading is a reading and it's very intimate, because it is, I think people don't see the side of like the therapeutic side of it. So it's like they're kind of like absorbing a lot of this like personal information, and then, you know,
it is like therapy in many ways. So it's, a lot of people don't want that broadcast. And especially if you're a public figure, you don't want it out there. You don't want anyone else to have anything else to talk to you about or beat you up about.
Exactly. And it's funny because like, I think like learning that, I was like, I'm like, when people have me go on their podcast now and they're like higher profile people want me on for a reading. They don't want me just to talk about myself, pretty much, you know?
They're like, get out of here. We don't care about you. Let me tap into my grandma who died.
Exactly. So what I've been doing, just because I'm trying to protect the people that I'm reading as well too, for the privacy stuff, is I'll do the readings kind of now before a podcast, and it can be recorded, but they have the option to like, I think, put it in or not put it in. It's kind of up to them, or just talk about the reading like during, so they can basically talk about what they want to talk about and versus what they don't want to talk about.
That's fair. I feel like that's respecting them, as, you know, just respecting their privacy, you know?
I wanted to ask you too, who are some of the celebrity clients you work on? Because I'm sure people are going to want to know. I mean, people can look at your Instagram, but I think it's really cool who you work with.
Thank you so much. I mean, I work with Kaylee Cuoco, Rashida Jones, Chelsea Handler,
crazy,
Julie Bowen, Kristen Stewart. I mean, just to name a few. But I've worked with almost everybody, you know?
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's really, I feel really lucky to have this job. It's different. It's interesting, It's creative. It's something new every day. You never know what you're walking into. And I feel really lucky that I chose this, because it keeps me, I'm a Gemini, so it keeps me like totally satisfied.
And that's all you need, right? To be a Gemini, I need to be satisfied.
That's right.
So, you know, I just started to like kind of look into the astrology stuff. I'm not going to lie, just because
you got enough on your plate. You don't even need to tap into astrology.
Yeah. I'm like definitely not tapping into it, but I've been doing some like, you know, research, because people always ask me like, what are you? they always ask me, and I'm like, and I tell them I'm a Capricorn, and then they go, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm like, what does that even mean? It's like, like I never knew what that meant, and I was like, what does that mean?
When's your birthday?
I'm January 3rd. I was supposed to be a New Year's baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was supposed to be. And for those who have birthdays like around that time, it stinks. It like stinks because
all my kids are like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Sorry.
No, I mean, like, listen, like, I know my parents, and I'm sure you do the same thing too. They try to make it like completely separate from like Christmas and everything, but it becomes when you get older with your friends that they are like, it's Christmas and it's New Year's and then it's my birthday, and they're like, we don't want to do like three things.
We're
tapped out. Yeah, we're tapped out. I'm like, what? This stinks.
Yeah, no, you totally get ripped off. I agree, and I feel like by the time you're my age, I'm not a big birthday person, but by the time you're my age, it's too much. I have so many friends, and I feel like I don't want to leave anyone out. This is more stressful for me. So I like to spend it like either with just my family, like my immediate family, or like I'll do one thing. Like this year I ran a half marathon with a friend, and like, that's good. I'm good.
You ran a half marathon?
Yeah.
God bless you.
I know. It's like, I love doing that.
I just started getting into running. I literally just started getting into it. I'm not even joking.
It's so great. It's such a great way to clear your head. Like for me, it's like taking an antidepressant. Like I love it.
That's how I feel now. I'm not running long. Like I can't run like long distances or anything. I'm doing about 3 miles right now.
That's good. I mean, if anyone can do it. I got my father-in-law to run a marathon after he like beat cancer.
Oh my God.
I know. And he was probably in his late, almost maybe 70, 60, late 60s. And not like a man you would look at and be like, oh, he's in amazing tip-top shape, and he killed it. He finished.
I can't even imagine doing it. I used to do 5Ks, struggle doing them, obviously. But I tried, and I think I played a college sport, and then I tried to maintain.
You got it in you.
Yeah, it's just tough now. I'm getting older, so the knees aren't the same. The body is not the same.
You got to stretch.
Wait, so this is going to be so embarrassing. So I play volleyball with like the police and stuff. They have like a team and a bunch of my friends. And it's just a beach. It's like whatever. And I put like I have a cooler in my backpack, and I pulled my back doing it.
That's how you pulled your back.
I'm not even joking. I'm like driving and I can't lift my left arm. I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm in like so much pain. I'm like freaking out. Took Advil, had to like stretch. And one of my buddies, he's like, do you stretch before you work out every day? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, like that's your problem. He's like, you're not 21 anymore. So like it's bad.
You have to do like 10 minutes a day if you exercise. I know. I found out the hard way too. I like all of a sudden my hips, I'm like, oh my God, I need a double hip replacement. And I went to this doctor, this orthopedic surgeon. He's like, here. And he gives me a paper with like 4 stretches to do, like 30 seconds each side, 3 times. And I did them. And after a week, totally cured. Like really? I had no pain. Yeah. I'll send you those. I'll send them to you. It's easy.
I need it. It's like I said, it was the most embarrassing thing. I'm walking and I'm like, trying to carry like the chair and everything. And my friend's like, why are you walking?
You're like, you haven't even played yet.
Yeah. He's like, we played in an hour, bro. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my God.
You don't even seem old enough for that to happen yet, but.
No, I think it's because of the wear and tear that I did in my body from like lacrosse. And then I played like after lacrosse. And then I was a big BJJ and MMA guy for a long time.
Yep.
Just for like health reasons. And, I used to compete here and there, but like, I think just all the wear and tear of all that is like now starting to catch up, which is why like I'm trying to not do any of that stuff anymore. Yeah. Like I'll do BJJ for fun and stuff, like for more of like the, I guess like the health aspect of it, not the competing stuff anymore. And like, I just think I did too much wear and tear on myself. Like that's
for sure. Lacrosse is like very, very intense.
Yeah. And I've been doing it since I was like 10. 10, 11. So it's like, and then playing in college too, people don't know. It's like, even if you play at a high level, like Division III or whatever, it's so like people are just like hitting you and you're getting hit left there. It's like not great.
You know what I found out? The statistic kind of blew my mind because my daughter is in travel softball and very intense about it. I played D3 soccer.
Okay.
Only 7% of high school students go on to play in college. I thought that was staggering. I was like, well, it's got to be like 5% in Southern California because I feel like everyone here is like college sports. And that's including like D3, D2, D1, JUCO. Like,
really?
Yeah. 7%. That's
shocking.
Nothing. I know.
Because like I feel like every person I talk to from Long Island that's a lacrosse player, they're like, yeah, I went here, I went there, I went here, I went there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and we all know each other too, because we all played against each other, even in college and high school and travel ball and stuff. And I'm sure you're dealing with it too now. How much, like, it's so cliquey, right? Like the travel teams are so cliquey. Like,
oh my God. It's like, it's a whole culture. It's crazy. I'm fully enveloped and like, take me to your leader. Like, I love it so much. My husband's like, if you spend as much time dealing with softball as you did on your business, you'd be retired and like living on, in a mansion. And I'm like, wow.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, going back to your business, has the makeup like industry changed from COVID till now, from like TikTok and everything? Because I feel like everything kind of, I'm assuming shifted. I don't know because I'm on that world, obviously, as you can tell. But has it like completely shifted?
Yeah,
changed?
I mean, definitely, it's blown up in a way that is pretty exciting, I think, for a brand, because you never know who can come across your product, and you never know who could post it, and then overnight, you're an overnight success, even though you've been doing it forever. But I think it's an exciting time for beauty. I think there's just so much. It's very saturated, but if you got good stuff, you got good stuff. There's nothing you can deny about that, Yeah,
because I feel like on TikTok when I'm scrolling, like males too, like males and females. Like,
yeah, everyone's wearing it now.
Everyone's wearing it. And I'm like, am I missing something? Right? Like, I have no idea. Like, people will be like, well, this is going to sound like weird, but they're like, what's your like nighttime routine? And I'm like, soap and water. I'm like, I don't know.
You're OG. Like some people just, that's like my husband. I get like everything sent to me for free. And I'm like, here, use this. And he's like, yeah, all right. And he's like, splash some water. I don't even know if he uses soap. But yeah, I mean, men are really like into taking care of their skin now. There's a movement.
I'm trying, like, I think because I'm getting older, I am trying to, because I'm starting to see like I'm aging and stuff. And I want to keep everything as like, just because like when, I mean, doing podcasts and stuff, I don't know. I want to look like presentable. I don't want to look like I just rolled out of like bed. Like,
that's what ring lights are for.
So it's so funny you say that. Like every time I like try to do like a pod, yeah, right. Like everyone just like turns. But I bought one and I never set it up. Like I have one that clips on the top of the laptop, but I just never set it up because I'm like, this room has like so much light in it. I'm like, I don't want to like overpower the light.
You're not even facing the good light. That's how you can make yourself look great. You got to find the light source and then face the light source.
Please
and then you're
help.
Like gold. It blurs everything. Just so you know, anyone taking a selfie at home, just find your light. And
find your light. I like
it's like a filter. It's a filter. You're like, oh, there it is. Hit me. You look great. It's a filter.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you have any projects come up that you're working on with people?
I'm actually I'm going to go on the road for Beetlejuice press. Beetlejuice 2 is coming out. So we're going to be
I saw that.
Europe and doing some press with Catherine O'Hara, who is, the infamous Moira Rose and was the mom.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's amazing, dude. She's such a cool human. Yes, like the nicest, most down-to-earth, cool lady ever.
She killed it on Schitt's Creek.
Dude, she was amazing on Schitt's Creek.
Peeing my pants literally every episode. Her accent and stuff and her wigs, I was just like, what is going on? Like,
she's incredible. She's a comedy icon.
She really is.
I feel really blessed to be working with her.
She's really cool. Like, I mean, people, just so people know, like, sometimes people aren't like what they see.
Characters.
Yeah. Like, and I think people sometimes think when they see someone on TV or a podcast or whatever, like a host or something, they think they're that person like off screen. And people don't get that people have like real feelings and
I mean,
like
I will say you're right about that. Like in my industry, they always say, just like, don't meet your heroes because you don't want to be disappointed. Like I've met people that I've loved and like they were so mean that I couldn't watch anything from them anymore. So she is like the exception to the rule. I mean, I feel like everyone I work with is what you see is what you get. Like just the dopest, funniest, fabulous women. I feel so lucky.
That's amazing. And I will say also, I like read some people that I was huge fans of. And I've never spoken about like these people like that I've read to, like these are some of the people that I don't really speak about. And when I met them and then when I did the reading, sometimes it felt like, I don't know if this is how you felt before, like they were doing me a favor.
Yeah.
Like they were doing
me.
You
feel, I mean, I guess we allowed them to make us feel less than. You know?
100%. I like left and I was just like, what just happened?
It's a weird energy. It's hard to collaborate with that energy. And I think for both of us, what we're doing, it's like,
it's intimate.
It's really intimate. And if the door is locked, there's like, you know.
Yeah. And it's like, they always ask for like another one. And I'm like, do I want to put myself back in that like situation where I feel a little bit uncomfortable and, you know, I don't know, like people don't get that. Like I have a story where there was a celebrity person who was referred to me and this person was like, okay, go to this hotel in Manhattan. Right. Okay. So I go and this person watched me walk in and gave me very specific instructions. Like, don't go to like the, you know, person, like go right to the elevator, do this.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So supposedly this person watched me go in the elevator, like watch the process of me doing it to make sure like I didn't like deviate from it.
Whoa.
And so I'm knocking on the door. No one's answering. Then all of a sudden this person comes walking down the hallway and goes, it's for me.
Oh, weird.
The weirdest thing, like the person from The Shining is like walking down the and I'm just like, what is happening? And like I had to go sit in a hotel room with this person and then do a reading after all of that. And it was weird.
Yeah.
And it was like, I called obviously because my mom does my appointments and stuff. And she's the one who like facilitated. So the person thought like that was my number.
Oh.
So they were, So my mom was like, she goes, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Whatever. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, so I sit down and I'm like looking around and I'm like, this is like the weirdest, because I didn't feel comfortable at that point. Because at that point I felt like I was being watched.
Yes.
And like, it was just like a weird feeling. So I didn't know who else was watching me. There was someone else watching me. Like, there was like so many different scenarios. Not that probably that would even be the case slightly.
I know what you mean though, because I've been a lot of the NDA signatures, you feel like there's cameras like in the, like even when you leave, you're like, am I bugged? Did they bug my car? Like you don't even want to talk about anything that just happened because you feel bugged. And to be honest, I'm sure we're not that far off. Like there's some crazy people out there.
Kind of bizarre. And I never shared that story only because like it creeped me out for so long. Like, it was just really weird. Like, just to feel like I was being watched. Like, they watched me walk up the street. The hotel was hidden. It was in the city. It was like one of those like hip like hotels that like celebrities go to that not many people know about.
Yep.
So I kept walking past it because I couldn't find it because like it looked like a brick building and the windows were blacked out.
Oh, weird.
Like everything was. So I didn't know where the door was and I didn't know. I'm like walking around the like this and the person's watching me.
So weird.
Yeah, they said they watched me walk up and down the block like 7 times because I did.
Laughing.
I kept going,
look at this fool.
I'm sure.
Look at this fool.
Yeah, and then I walk in and I see the windows. You can look out, but they can't look in. So I'm like, this is like the weirdest thing.
That is so
weirdest
weird.
Thing. I told a couple people and they're like, really? But like, I'm sure it doesn't surprise you at all.
Yeah, I mean, you see everything. Everything's so weird. Like and whenever you hear about like the dark side of things, like it exists, you know, it's like, that's why I feel like early in my career, like you were saying 6 years ago when you started doing more of this stuff, it's like, are opening yourself up for anything. So you never know what you're walking into. But, you know, I feel like the older you get, the more you can like vibe something. I feel like now, like if I get this weird call about a job, I would be like, I don't want to do that. And then I'll find out the person who did it and they'll have like some crazy story. And I'm like, that's weird that I didn't want to do that. I don't know. I just got a feeling.
That's how I am now. I used to, you know, just do anything.
Say yes to everything.
Yeah, like I just said yes, and I would go to like these studios and read these random, like really random stuff. And now I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like I'm not going to do this anymore. Like I'm not just going to say yes just because this person wants something.
Yeah.
And what's shocking is when I do a lot of these unsolved cases and stuff, to me, I feel more comfortable doing that than sometimes when I read certain celebrities at times.
I bet.
Like I feel more protected.
I also feel like it's so cool what you're doing. Like it's such you're helping, like they need your help. So it's got to be satisfying.
It is when you win them over. Like when I won them over and then they kept calling back to do more because, you know, in the beginning, you know, people are very skeptical about just like mediums and stuff. And when I got recommended to do my first case like years ago, it kind of blossomed into doing from one case and the Long Island serial killer case that I have not spoken about until recently because I've been on it since like 2017, 2018. So I could have spoken about it for like years and years and years. And when I got the text message from one of the FBI agents, like the lead task force guy being like, thank you so much, like this, blah, blah, blah. Like that was a very gratifying feeling for myself just because I was like, this guy didn't, you know, believe anything I said. So like, you know, and then it kind of opened the door to, I've read like Secret Service, CIA, FBI, like, and I helped them with stuff. And, you know, they're becoming more open. And I know for a fact I'm not the only person that does do this because really what happens is, and I don't think people know this, but like you kind of pair up with like these agents and stuff, right? Like these FBI agents, the CIA. And then when they get a case, that's when they pull you on. It's not like a collective, like whole, like CIA is like, let's type in the database and see who comes up. You build a relationship just like you do with like anyone.
Yeah.
But
that's interesting.
Yeah. Like people don't know that side. People just think, and also people think I get called in right away.
Yeah.
They like solve the case right away. They're like, do it. And I'm like, dude, I'm the last person they call. I'm never the first.
No.
I'm typically when they're like, shit, like we have nothing. Like we don't have anything. Our back is against the wall. The case could be closed or it's just like we need a new direction. That's when I get called in. And I'm like, oh, like that's where like all the pressure comes in from me is like just all of that.
Wow.
Like it's, yeah.
They're like, we need help. We need something.
That's literally what they, well, most of the time.
They're like, help.
Yeah. I don't get a heads up. I'll get like a call and then I have to be ready to answer and go. Like I can't, and like the reason is they don't want me to like Google a case and then my mind be like, you know, kind of focused on like research about a case. And then like if someone is on a Reddit thread and they start being like, this is the person. And then I'm like, you know what, maybe like.
You got to be completely clear.
Right.
From the makers of Rice-A-Roni comes Macaroni, a creamy, delicious boxed mac and cheese that's not just good, it's cheesy good. Macaroni will please even the pickiest eaters with 2 magnificent flavors that will melt your heart. Creamy cheddar and creamy white cheddar. If you love cheese, you'll love Macaroni by the makers of Rice-A-Roni. If you don't love cheese, well, that's just unbelievable. Try Macaroni. It's cheesy good.
Macaroni, the San Francisco treat.
So, speaking of being clear, are you ready for your reading?
Oh, this is icing on the cake. Let's go.
You ready? All right. Let's do it. You know how I always like look away and I look down. It's not creepy, I swear.
I know.
You know?
I know you. I know you're not creepy.
Yeah, people think it's creepy that I don't look at them, and I'm like, it's really not that bad. So, people criticize everything. They criticize me drinking Gatorade. So, I'm sure you get it too. Like you walk in, people are like, "Why are you drinking that?"
Yeah.
And
oh,
I'm
my
like,
nails. Everyone makes fun of my nails. I'm like, I love them.
Yeah, leave me alone, right? But wait, so my mom has a very unique name. Her name is Ruth.
That's my mom.
I'm really just being like 100% honest with you. This is something that I do.
Look at this, Ruth.
Oh, wow. She keeps rubbing her like lower stomach with a cancer ribbon.
Yeah. Ovarian cancer.
Well, she had ovarian cancer. Okay.
Yep.
I have to tell you this. Your mom is actually, I'm sure, I mean, she's very funny.
Very funny.
Like, there's certain type of energies that come through. There's some that are very like introverted and quiet, and there's some that are very like extroverted and loud. And your mom is very loud. So
yeah, she's from New Jersey.
There you go. Okay. So this is interesting. Around your mom's death date, because she keeps like tapping a calendar in front of me. When they do that, typically what it means is there's another date that circulates around her death date. It's typically like a birthday and an anniversary, but something very important. Because what she keeps like flickering in front of me is something surrounding her death date. Like typically it's when you just miss something or just like make something.
Well, she died on April Fool's Day, which was like...
And that's what she's doing. Because if there's something with like the date, because she's tapping a calendar.
Yeah.
Why is she emphasizing like...
I think she is probably proud of that. This makes so much sense. Like,
he's laughing. I'm like, well, why? Well, I have to be honest. I'm like, why are you laughing at talking about your death date? You know, every time I do readings, I don't think many people are like laughing, circulating their death date. So I was like, okay, maybe there's like something she just made. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, there had to be something. Do you mind if I talk a little bit about her passing?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. When someone puts their hand out, typically what that means... Were you with her when she passed away?
Yeah.
Yeah, she keeps putting her hand down. That's typically what it means when... The reason why I'm saying all this is because the closure that you provided to her, like, do you know sometimes when people say it's okay to let go?
Yeah.
You know when people like fight and then you see them go through it and you're just like, it's okay to let go. And the reason why I'm saying it because your mom keeps putting her hand out like I was saying, and the final closure that she needed, she was able to get. But what's interesting with your mom, I have to be honest, this is kind of crazy. Leading up to her passing, there's sometimes when people get sick, their like personalities don't show. They kind of get very depressed. Your mom is smiling, saying that until she couldn't have her personality pretty much like stayed the entire time. But what she's saying is that you were a big help in keeping the personality and keeping her, it's like kind of moving forward versus like dwelling on something that is very intense and hard and not, it's kind of consuming, because she's smiling. And what she's also saying too, she keeps also saying this to me, and I don't know if this is like the right phrase to use, but how fast things progress, like from when she got the news to when she passed, she keeps snapping her fingers to me saying it felt like it was like everything just happened so fast. But she's also saying too, oh God, I ask you this too, because she's smiling. She's saying that you're a makeup artist, but she originated with good style, is what she keeps saying to me. And what she's smiling about is that I guess you were a part of like her style. And another thing too, she keeps like rubbing and playing. It's like with her clothes and her hair, right? And when people do that, typically it's like listen, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I apologize. I'm not dressed to the nine. I get that. I'm wearing a hat. Also not dressed to the nine. I get that. But she's saying that before she couldn't even, but this is what's so interesting to me is like, even when she wasn't doing well, it's like always wanting to present yourself looking well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always trying to make yourself look well, even when you're not doing well, which she's also smiling about too. And I wanted to ask you this because she is, you know how you brought up how like in the interview portion that, you're very involved with your kids, like, travel softball and stuff. She keeps saying that she felt like she was the same with like the community that you grew up in.
Yeah.
Like everyone knew your mom and loved your mom is what she keeps saying. Because she keeps saying that you two are so similar in that aspect. Yeah. And she's saying that like she's laughing because she feels like she's watching herself in you when you are being that type of because what she's smiling about also, going back to this, is really like how, and you also kind of said this in the interview too, but it's kind of like when, your husband made a joke saying like, if you focus this much time on the travel softball, your business would be even more successful. But your mom is saying that's what makes you so special and so similar to her. That family and being that person, that's how you guys are so similar, because she keeps saying to me that you two are like best friends, like best friends. And what she's saying is that there's no words that I could say to thank you, because she keeps saying when she got sick, it seems like you were pretty much involved when she even heard the news. It kind of seems. And what she's saying is, and she's pointing at you talking about this, it's how she even found out is what she's saying, like how you were to even get tested to find out. She's saying was also like a roller coaster of events. Like she's using a similarity, and I'm not saying this is the exact thing. It's like when you have a headache all the time, you're like, it's not going away. And then you go to get checked out, and they're like, we need to do like MRI, CAT scan, whatever. And then they find something. She's saying it was something like, if it wasn't for that, for something going to get checked up on, because she keeps saying she fought really hard and that it was something that just kind of escalated fast. And what she's saying to me too is just kind of how you dealt with everything because she's really talking about the process of, she keeps talking about treatment, like everything, like you put everything together in a bubble. She's saying it's how you navigate it, because she's saying like it's very impressive how you can smile but fight inside to keep, like, because you were smiling, because you were trying to help her take a step forward. She keeps saying it helped her want to keep fighting, take a step forward, because she's saying it was really intensive news right away. Like it was like something pretty intensive, like it seems pretty fast on. And because she's smiling and she wants me to let you know, like, all the help and everything for you making her comfortable, she's comfortable. Like she's okay right now. And she's saying that, like, and again, I know I already kind of mentioned this, but you two seem like you guys were insanely close. I mean, that's not even the right kind of phrase to even like dive into about. Also, her laugh is very loud too, so she must have a very special laugh. But because she keeps going back to because she's smiling at this, which is why I kind of touched on it, then I moved on quickly, but just how similar you guys are is what she keeps saying about laugh, about smile, about pretty much everything, but really the personality wise is what she keeps talking about, and the joking side. She's saying that you can make it, like, she feels like she was able to do this. It's like making anyone feel kind of comfortable in any situation that's presented. So, because what she's saying to me is like, and she's joking about this, it's like being the center of attention, right? It's like someone that can go in and kind of demand a room, but also make the person who's sitting on the side feel like they're involved in something and comfortable. Because what she's saying is that she feels like you are the same as her. Like you want everyone to feel comfortable, safe, and you could walk into a room, no matter how shiny the room is, and kind of hold your own, is what she keeps saying. Because the big thing, and you don't even need me to say this, but how much she loves and misses you is like astronomically like high, which I'm sure you know. But thank you for letting me do this. And I want you to talk about your mom a little bit. I want people to hear like your side of it with everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like the older I get and the farther I am away from her, the more I realize like how much I am like her. And
very similar. You guys are like, I have to be honest, from what I see till now, you guys are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like the way you talk, the way you laugh, like everything, like you guys are pretty parallel, like the same. She keeps rubbing her hair too.
Yeah.
She keeps talking about your hair too. So that must have been something where like, she seems like she likes to be presented with, right? Like
was.
Someone who...
She, as she would say, she didn't like her slip to show. She was very like about appearance.
Yeah, she's very, and the only reason why I'm saying is because she keeps, one, touching the head, like, and two, she keeps also saying to me like I shouldn't be wearing a sweatshirt. You know?
Very her. Very her. Yeah. But she did. She was like, she would make everybody feel welcome. And I feel like that is like my brand. That's who I am also. And she taught me that. Just like, I can literally get down with anyone. So
yeah, she said that you learned that from her. That's why she's saying that she's so proud to watch it happen, because like I said, I know I already mentioned this, but pretty like you guys are very much alike in like a lot of aspects, like people wise, just laugh, humor, everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she keeps also saying too, like intense situations, like make light of it, like joke about it. So like that's why she was laughing about her death. What I was saying, I was like, I don't know why she's like laughing, because like, you know, when I do readings, sometimes I would probably say majority of the time people aren't laughing about the day that they died.
Yeah, we would literally, I was like, as it was getting closer, in fact, when she was getting ready to die, I had some jobs that like, I was like, I can't give an answer if I can do it or not. And she literally was like, well, wait, do you want me to die Tuesday or can I wait 2 weeks? Like she was so funny because we knew it was coming. And yeah. And then I go, if she doesn't die on April Fool's Day, then life isn't real. And she did.
Oh my God. I guess that's the closure. Like she was talking about that.
Funny. Like she got the last laugh.
Oh, she did. Oh, she's still laughing. still laughing. So.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't have picked a better day to die on, like, for real.
With her personality and who she is, I think I agree with that, like, wholeheartedly. She's like an amazing person and loves you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for letting me do this. It was so amazing to talk with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I know. Great to see you again. Thank you.
Yes. No problem.
I'm like, I wasn't going to cry this time. I appreciate it.
Wow, guys, what an amazing interview and reading. I'm blown away by it still. All right, guys, like I promised, I will be updating you right now about the unsolved case that I've been working on. So, guys, this is such a crazy case that I was pulled into, and I want to share with you guys the full story so you guys can understand what I walked into, how I walked into it, and where it's currently at right now. So I get a request from a family and some law enforcement just to do a reading, right? They just want to see what's going on. So I want to paint you this picture of what the story was. Now, the victim's name is Gavin Anderson. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about this young man. He was in his early to mid-20s, and from what I was told from, the family, and even when I was connecting to him, he was such a good, person. He didn't really do drugs. He didn't really do anything like that. He didn't drink. He didn't party, but he did work at a bar. So, I know, a lot of us, including myself, I was like, really? He didn't drink? He didn't do anything? But from everyone in the community that has stepped forward with this case has pretty much said the same thing, that he was a very family-oriented, I don't want to say straight edge, but pretty much like a straight edge young man. So when this happened and when they announced his passing as a suicide, everyone was like, what is going on? The police and the medical examiners, everyone ruled it as a suicide. But knowing him and knowing, from what the family told me, they were saying that would not be him. He also, from what I was told, again, he didn't drink, he didn't do drugs. That was not his thing. And they were saying that he was under the influence, or it could have been like that. So that was starting to raise some suspicion with the family and just everyone in the community. So it reaches to the medical examination where they quickly ruled it as a suicide. And from hearing from Gavin's mom, the aunt, and just the community, that was not particularly on brand for him. So because of all that, and because there was suspicious behavior from the medical examiner all the way to the detectives, I was called in because they needed to know a different avenue of how to attack this. So then when I got called in, I kept referencing, he seems like he was, pinned down. It seems like there was some conflict, it wasn't a suicide. So fast forward, right? They hire an attorney, and this attorney hired their own medical examiner and someone who looked at the crime scene pictures, the crime scene report, everything. And it was ruled that he was, in fact, held down because there was bruises that were all over his body. And only the types of bruises when someone is grabbing with their fingers and holding someone. So fast forward, now I get called on because they're like, you know what? We really need someone just to validate a few things and to help us go in a very different direction because we don't really know what we're, up against. We know we're kind of fighting with the police department and fighting with the detectives that are in that police department. So we need to figure out a different way to go about this. So I get called in, and like everyone knows, I'm always the last option. I am never the first option. So basically what happened was the case is right now at this point closed, right? It's closed because they are, battling a way to reopen it. So I get called in. And basically they have an attorney that's working on the case, and they revisited Gavin's crime scene. And they noticed, because of what I said during the reading, I was like, this looks like he, kind of was strangled and kind of was, this wasn't a suicide. And then they were showing that, how they investigated like the body after the passing, they did a pretty big disservice on it. So now, because of all this evidence that's coming up, they're going to be able to reopen the case, hopefully with the attorney and now new detectives on the case. And the family has been very responsive with me just letting me know the updates of like what is going on. And it's such a sad story because from like I said to you earlier before, this young man, Gavin, was such a nice kid and such a good community kid. And some of the stuff that I said in the reading now, they're starting to investigate like heavily, like where he was working, the background of the workers there. All this stuff that I was like saying names about and all these people are now officially being looked at more. But more importantly, the whole like how they dropped the ball, like they just called it a suicide, that they just didn't really do any investigative due diligence in any way. So now all of that is coming up, and this attorney and this new detective is really doing everything that they can to reopen it. And it is a wild case. And I will be updating you, and hopefully I'll be bringing on the mom soon so she can say some of what's going on from her perspective. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you want to be part of the show, all you have to do is go to my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium and just give me a follow and send me a DM. Guys, I will see you next week, and thank you so much for being a part of the show.